Hi, I'm Jennell Evans, and I want to talk about self-awareness and how relevant it is, particularly to leaders in their ability to be even more successful. And then I want to share 7 actions that you can take to increase your level of self-awareness. But first, let's start about, defining what is self-awareness. If you're self-aware, it means that you have a very clear understanding of your emotions, your strengths, and your shortcomings. It's about knowing yourself really, really well, what you feel, your physical reactions to things, of course, your emotions and your intentions and how and what and when you communicate to other people. If you have a high level of self-awareness, you own up to mistakes. You ask for help when you need it, and you focus on how you can get better all the time. However, if you have a low level of self-awareness, you may not be aware of how your emotions affect other people and how you're perceived by others. For example, until a friend, a family member, coworker, or even a boss points out maybe the negative impacts of something that you did or said, or a particular behavior or communication approach that was negatively impacting them or other people, you might be clueless. If you often feel like you're a bull in a china shop, you don't realize that maybe your behaviors are having a negative impact on other people, or you're perceived as being very easily agitated or overreacting to things or getting angry over things that a lot of people would not think twice about or see as little things. So, this whole idea of self-awareness, it's really challenging sometimes to see ourselves as other people see us. And I'll share an example. I was working with a leader last week who had no clue that how she was coming across on, a Zoom meeting with her staff was really having a negative impact. It was her nonverbal behavior, it was her tone of voice, it was her lack of being present that was really shutting down their ability to engage with her. And it was creating some fear about giving her feedback on something that she was asking about. They thought that she was very frustrated and maybe angry about something, when in fact, she was just really exhausted from having completed a lot of projects at the end of the calendar year. And that's really what it was. But she wasn't even aware that that was the impact she was having. And I think if you ask most people if they're self aware, they're going to say yes. But research confirms that about 10 to 15% of people who identify themselves as being self aware truly are. And this is something you can measure, and I'll come back to that in a few minutes. People have a tendency to overestimate their level of self-awareness. So, why does having a high level of self-awareness really matter? Because without it, we really limit our ability to be the best versions of ourselves, our ability to be emotionally intelligent. Because, as I said, self-awareness is the foundational skill. Without it, we can't then manage our emotions. We can't be socially aware and really attuned to the emotions of others, which impacts how we manage our relationships. Those are the other 3 skills. So it really, really is important. And when we have a high emotional intelligence built on a foundation of self-awareness, combine that with a higher IQ, which is expected of people who have leadership roles in organizations, we're better able to do just about everything in life, from managing our own emotions to managing conflicts with others to creating more career opportunities for ourselves and so forth. So now we know what self-awareness is, why it matters, and what it looks like if you have a low level of self-awareness. Let's talk about 7 actions that you can take to increase your level of self-awareness. So here they are. Number 1, begin with understanding why self-awareness matters to you. Maybe you've gotten feedback similar to that leader that, you've been on so many Zoom calls, you didn't realize that you were checking out, and then that had a real domino effect on your team, and then things didn't get done on time, and it just created a lot of problems. Because if you understand what it is, why this even matters to you, you'll be much more motivated to do some of the other things that I'm going to share with you, to take those actions. Maybe you don't want to be showing up on a Zoom call the way that maybe you're perceived in that one example. And maybe you're committed to being the best leader possible and you want to do everything within your power to increase your self-awareness. And the good news is everybody can do it. It's not something you have to be born with. You can develop this just like you can develop, a bicep or a tricep. So that's the great news. But understanding your why is really important. The second action is to get clear about what it is that you want to do differently. Do you want to be a more empathetic leader? Do you want to be a better listener? Do you want to stop interrupting people and creating, an environment where people feel like, well, it doesn't matter because you're not even going to pay attention to what I'm saying? Once you know what it is you want to do differently, then monitor yourself. The fact that you're focusing on this thing that you want to do differently increases your ability to then expand your self-awareness and how you respond to everything. So you won't be on autopilot because you've decided that you want to do these specific things very differently. A third action is to find people who you think are really self-aware, because one of the most effective ways the research bears out to learn how to be more self-aware is to observe someone who's doing it well and to see how they handle situations, to be able to ask them questions about why they did a certain thing about a certain situation that you got to see. Now, with the way that we're working today, not everyone is back in the office. That can be a little more challenging, but some people have a hybrid model where they go in a day or two a week, and then the rest of the time it's home on Zoom doing work. But these people when you see it. These are the folks who you know that they're the rock star leaders. They're able to manage conflicts. They're able to do things because of their high level of self-awareness that other people aren't. And when you see them in action, so to speak, you can ask yourself, well, would you have handled that situation the same way? And what would you do differently? Notice how they show empathy even through their words and through their nonverbal behavior and through their actual behaviors. So the fourth action you can take is to be more self-aware. Learn how to just be with your feelings versus just reacting to them. So try to identify what you're feeling, pause and ask yourself, why am I feeling a certain emotion like anger or fear, frustration, or disappointment before responding? Pay close attention to your words and observe if you're reacting to situations maybe based on past triggers or past patterns or just old habits. And if you think you're overreacting, just slow down, breathe, pause, and choose how you want to respond to a situation. And that again is just a great space for where change begins to happen in increasing and expanding your level of self-awareness. The more you do this, the easier it becomes. Number 5, ask someone for feedback, whether that's a trusted friend, family member, or coworker, or even your boss, because I often hear people say that I'm working with and helping them develop this skill and other skills. I just didn't know what I didn't know. No one gave me the feedback. No one told me. And the higher up leaders go up in their careers, honestly, a lot of times the less feedback they get because it can be consequences if someone at a different level gives them feedback that's constructive versus necessarily all positive. So you can ask for this feedback and you can tell the person that you're asking, I want to be better. I want to be better. I'm a leader. I want to keep getting better. So, if possible, share with them what specifically it is that you want to do differently, as I suggested in the second action. So again, some clients of mine take this a step further, and I think it's a really cool idea, so I want to share it with you. And they have an agreement with someone, might be a peer, that they're going to be accountability partners around emotional intelligence, and particularly they want to raise their self-awareness. So it's hard to see ourselves sometimes, right, or how others perceive us. So they have an agreement. If you see me doing something that you think is having a negative impact, I want you to tell me. And they kind of, keep each other accountable, but they look out for each other and they meet regularly to share that feedback if it's not possible to do it in the moment or right after something has been observed. This has to be someone that you trust, someone that you respect, that their feedback is going to be on point. And that their best interest is what, they have your best interests at heart, is what I'm trying to say. They want you to succeed. And that can be a very cool way to approach it. A sixth action you can take is to do something every day that calms your nervous system, rest your mind. This slowing down of just thinking and being distracted and doing a million things all day can be very powerful in giving you space for what we call reflective intelligence. And when we talk about going deep inside and really tapping into being aware of what we're feeling, what we're thinking, and what we're desiring, and all that's going on, that sometimes can get really um, cluttered with everything else in life, if we don't have this kind of space on a regular basis, can really not serve us. So we want to have this space every day, ideally. Sometimes people can access this calm state through meditation, through journaling, from walking in nature, just sitting quiet, having a cup of tea. What calms you. And so I highly encourage you to have a practice that really kind of forces you to calm down so that you can have that space to sort of listen to yourself. And that taps into all the things that you can be more aware of about yourself. And the seventh and final action that you can take is to really measure your level of self awareness through a valid emotional intelligence assessment. There are many tools available that one would categorize as EQ or emotional intelligence assessments. Sometimes it's just a self perception, but I like the ones that have not only a self perception where you answer questions, but you get input from people who know you or see you on a regular basis so that their input could be valid. And so this is best done with a coach who is certified in emotional intelligence, who can then provide you the results of this kind of assessment and help you understand where your baseline on things like self-awareness or social awareness or relationship management or self-management are. Again, I want to focus just on the self-awareness, but that's just one part of this particular tool. And this is just an amazing opportunity for anyone, but particularly for leaders who want to be better, who really want to succeed and help everyone that they're leading succeed. This is an opportunity for growth. And I wish it was something that every leader had access to. Whenever I work with leaders, I always use some kind of emotional intelligence assessment to establish that baseline. And then I'm able to say, here's where you are, and you're doing really well. Or you know what, you have space here to improve in self-awareness. And let me give you some recommendations on how you can do it, given their specific workplace situation. And so they can be more successful, because at the end of the day, that's what we're all trying to be, is to be better and to be more successful and to be happier. So in closing, I just want to say that, we're all on a continuous improvement journey, and self-awareness, like the other emotional intelligence skills, can be learned by anyone. And it's essential, though, for leaders to have self-awareness and all of the emotional intelligence skills to really succeed in their role in an organization. So what about you? If you're listening to this, and if anything I've shared with you about self-awareness or emotional intelligence is resonating with you, if have you gotten feedback from being on a Zoom call that you weren't present, and you don't even know how to address maybe any of the feedback that you've received about you're not being, present, or you're getting feedback that you need to improve in this particular area. Maybe you're not getting promotions. Lack of self-awareness can really keep people from moving up in their careers. So that means that you're not making the income that you potentially could make. So it's costing you financially. It could be damaging relationships if you have a low level of self-awareness. It could be creating more stress in your life because you don't know how to fix it. And it's fixable. That's the good news. So If this does resonate with you and you would like to talk with me about how I work with leaders to help them up level all of their emotional intelligence skills, starting with self awareness, I invite you to reach out to me. My contact information is here um, in either the video description or on the website. And we can set up a call to just talk about how I actually do this work and the results that my clients have gotten from really focusing on developing their self awareness. Everything from being able to manage conflicts with ease, to build high trust relationships. And all of that leads to creating workplace cultures that thrive. And the best part of this is that when you have a higher level of self awareness and emotional intelligence in general, you have less problems to manage. And that gives you more time to do what you want to do, to spend it with your family, which ultimately is going to help you have the life that you want to live and to be happy and to feel that you are living your dream. And in the end, isn't that what we all want? Take care.